Today's guest is Casey Harris Custardo. She is a senior federal partner marketing advisor at Microsoft, but she also volunteers with ACT-IAC as the program's chair for the Health Community of Interest, as well as volunteering with AFCEA Bethesda as a member of the Emerging Leaders Board. And Casey and I go back to 2018, not that long ago, but sort of long ago, when I went through the ACT-IAC Partners program, and she worked for ACT-IAC and helped us through an amazing leadership development program. So I thank you so much for joining me today, Casey.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So for those who haven't had a chance to have a beer with you and talk and get to know you, talk a bit about your background, where you're from, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Casey. I've always lived in Virginia. I'm a proud JMU graduate. Go Dukes. I graduated with my undergrad in marketing, and then I went back to school a couple years ago and got my master's in organizational learning, performance, and change from Colorado State University. I've really had the opportunity to work for a number of amazing organizations throughout my career thus far, but probably feel like I hit my stride and really kind of found my passion when I was working at ACT-IAC, the American Council for Technology and Industry Advisory Council. There I had just met so many amazing people like yourself and friends that I'm still able to keep in touch with. And I really saw the impact of working in the government contracting space and just how that trickles down to citizens' lives and things that we see and experience every day. Also really kind of working at a nonprofit and getting to meet so many different people. I learned a lot about, the importance of networking and the importance of giving back to really see that impact in action. So currently, like you said, I'm at Microsoft. I'm the senior federal partner marketing advisor. It barely fits on a name badge. But what that means is I get to work alongside our many kind of Microsoft federal partners, help them get access to the different resources and partner events and trainings that we have available to them. I also do have a hand in kind of helping to shape and plan some of those events and things, and then work with a number of our partners that may be building things on top of our cloud to help just raise awareness of the joint solutions and the things that they're doing that are really helping to improve the government in the many different ways.
Wow. So way back when you chose JMU as the place to go to school, what made you choose that major? Did you know what you wanted to do?
My thought process, it's so funny. I remember at that time, no, I did not. I remember that my dad was in business and that seemed pretty cool. And I thought like, okay, so it's either there got to be nursing, education, or business. I actually started as a music education major. Oh. I do sing and play piano and now the ukulele, but that wasn't working out after my first year. Music education life is very hard, and you don't really get the social aspects of college that I would have preferred to have. Most of my time was spent literally in like a closet practice room singing to myself and playing piano, and I'm a little more social than that. So when I went to change majors, it was like, okay, I can teach something else, which I don't really want to. I could get into nursing, but I'm really bad at science and math, and I faint whenever I see blood. So that's probably not going to be a viable career option either. So I guess it's business, and marketing seems like it's pretty creative and fun. So that was the route I took. Definitely wasn't the most well thought out, but that was my thought process at the time, and it's actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult to get that first job after graduation?
I definitely did. I graduated in the time of a recession, and I ended up having to take more of a sales-oriented job, which I was told early in my career by a sales coach, you'll never make it in sales. This was in front of my boss, because you're more of a dolphin than you are a shark. And so I didn't really like that perception at the time. Now I'm very okay with being a dolphin. Dolphins are great in marketing and it all works out well. We like to please people and make everybody happy. But I at that time it was a challenge, and I really just kind of had to settle for the best thing in front of me in many ways. But what I was able to do, taking something that was in sales, that sales and marketing are very, they work hand in hand. And so I was able to take facets of my sales job and work marketing into them. So I created kind of like a nurture newsletter when there were people who I would cold call and say, we're not interested right now, but maybe down the road. So I would create mechanisms to keep in touch with them. I also tried to be really active on sites like LinkedIn and be on social media, which is also a lot of social media marketing stuff. Right. So that really kind of helped shape things to then move into my next role, which was a little bit more marketing oriented.
So how was it when you finally got into a marketing job?
It was a much more natural fit. I was a lot happier. It wasn't in the field that I had necessarily wanted to be in, because for whatever reason, the thing that I did know early on was that I wanted to be in technology. I always found technology fascinating. It's ever changing, so I knew I wouldn't get bored. But so my first job in marketing was like the National Association of Consumer Advocates, which was a very interesting organization to work for. I learned about things that I never would have learned about otherwise, things like lemon law, and what to do if your car goes bad and then somebody tries to cheat you in the system. And so it was fascinating, but not exactly my cup of tea. I knew though that experience would provide very valuable for then my next stepping stone, which was hopefully going to be back into marketing in some type of technology company or association or the like.
Interesting. Now, that makes me ask the question then, ACT-IAC wasn't really a marketing role.
It wasn't, but it always had components of marketing, because we didn't, when I started there, I don't think they actually had a role specific for marketing. It was all kind of broken into, you manage your own program areas. So I had managed membership under April Davis, who's awesome. So it was helping to market our membership, and the different membership benefits and things like that. But I also managed and helped stand up the Small Business Alliance. And that was like my own little like piece and program that I got to manage. And so I was the only one really marketing the Small Business Alliance on staff at that time. So figuring out how to do that through our different conferences and events, and what events and conferences would be appropriate for us to plug into or partner, with the Small Business Administration and do different things. Marketing was always a facet in some way.
Okay, that makes sense. And I guess even when you were doing the development programs, there's a lot of materials you produce, a lot of marketing. So yeah, it's interesting. Because I'm not a marketing person, it's fascinating to me how there are facets of marketing to almost anything if you want there to be.
Absolutely. That's what I love about marketing is it's useful in any job that you'll really ever have. And it's also a huge component of education, because really marketing is just educating people about the benefits of your product, service, whatever it is.
So did you run into any unique challenges as you kind of navigated these different companies that you worked for? Were they difficult to find the roles, or they naturally the networking you did early on paid off?
I think it was always difficult for me. I was never a very good interviewer. I still don't consider myself to be a great interviewer. I am a little ADD, so I tend to kind of veer off in a lot of different directions, which doesn't always bode well for interviewing. And I think that today's interview process, it doesn't in a lot of ways that like test taking doesn't work for people like me. Neither does interviewing. You can ask a question and someone can be really good at answering that question, but that doesn't really mean that they're gonna be great when they're actually in the job. And I really got to experience that firsthand when I worked as the director of culture and people for eSimplicity, which was right before the position I'm in now, because I interviewed people, multiple times a day, and then I was working with them to help them on board and see, how things worked out and help with the employee engagement, and was talking to managers a lot as to how they were doing. And some of the best interviewers were not great in the job. And then some of the people that our management felt they were taking a chance on got on and they were freaking rock stars. So it's really hard. I don't know the best way to fix that. I do know, companies are trying some different approaches, which is great. I know some companies are actually doing different, like I think Microsoft had a hackathon where they identified people and saw them in action and saw their leadership capabilities in action when they were actually given a specific problem to solve in a group setting. So I think instances like that help, but I also don't know that there's a one size fit all solution, because I think that also can cater to specific personality types as well. So it's hard to really crack that nut.
It is indeed. Yeah, you're right. I've hired a number of people, and you're right. You just never really know until after they get on board and you work with them. And everybody's so uniquely different. So have you gone through your career? What's something that you've seen that you wish the way we do business was different? If we came to you, Casey, said, today you get to be the decision maker of something we're going to change, or something we should at least consider changing, what's something you've witnessed that you believe we should take a look at?
So I think specific to this industry, one of the things that I think is very cool is the impact that we get to make and influence with government decision makers to do specific things, whether it be implement specific tooling to make their process more efficient and customer friendly for the citizen, whatever it is. I think that a lot of the time, people that are in developer roles or business development roles or capture roles, they don't get to see the full picture of things. And they only get to hear about impact every so often from maybe a couple of really great leaders that are talking about those things. But that has been like the driving passion, I think, behind why I really love being in the government contracting space. And I feel like if those stories are told more actively and openly, and we're really talking about, okay, yes, you only helped code this little piece of a tool that went into this environment. Like, that's not where the story ends. There's so much of a bigger story there that we really need to evangelize those stories across our communities, across our workforce, and within the companies that we work for.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, showcasing the success stories, right? The really cool things that happen, or the innovative approaches. That's a really great idea.
Definitely. I think, there's so much of these challenge in drawing, the younger generation to the federal workforce. And I think That's a huge component of it. Like, who wouldn't want to help solve these big problems? It's said that this generation really cares about, giving back and really making a difference. That's how we show them, is by telling these stories.
Hmm. So what's up next for you here in the near future, Casey? What do you have planned, or activities that are going on for you?
Well, personally, I will be having a child soon, so that's definitely been top of mind. Looking forward to that. And professionally, I'm loving Microsoft. It has been an amazing experience so far. I've been there about 10 months, and in that time, I've really gotten to see how the organization has evolved. Microsoft Federal really isn't that old. And the Microsoft partner organization with Federal is only about like a little over a year. So seeing Malcolm Hardin, who I'm sure you're familiar with from all of his activities within ACT-IAC, but really working under him and seeing his vision and his, how he sees the organization evolving in the future, and really trying to contribute as much as I can to that, to helping the partner org and our partners be successful. That's really what's top of mind for me, and really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Casey. It's been great catching up with you. It's always great to chat with you and hear what's going on, and look forward to seeing you hopefully sometime soon in person.
Absolutely. Thank you.